Okay, we're in the beginning of the 10th parak in Sefer Yehoshua. This is actually a very exciting parak. There is a famous event which we'll discuss in the next session where Yehoshua actually stops the sun and hail in the middle of the sky. There's miraculous events that occur in this parak which are commonly quoted and discussed. But a basic introduction to this parak is, and you see that nothing has changed in thousands of years. Basic idea is that you had the king, and we'll see the psukim inside, Ad Adoni Tzedek, the king of Yerushalayim, and he found out about Yehoshua and that they conquered Ai successfully, and that there was peace made with the Givonim, which was actually interesting in of itself, as we discussed in the previous parak at length. And he decided, okay, we're gonna have to fight the Jews, waging war. So basically, that's what this parak is about. And they had to stand up for themselves and fight. So, without further ado, let's begin with the first pasuk. Vahi Kishmaya, and it was Kishmaya Adoni Tzedek Melech Yerushalayim Ki Lokad Yehoshua Esai. It was when Adoni Tzedek, the king of Yerushalayim, heard that Yehoshua conquered Ai. This is talking about Adoni Tzedek heard the news. Yehoshua conquered Ai. And then what did he do? Vayachrimo kasher also Yericho. And it was destroyed, just like Yericho was destroyed as well. Ulamalka, it was destroyed, and its king also was destroyed. Cain also la'ai Ulamalka. So this is what happened also with Ai and its king. It was destroyed. Yericho was destroyed. Ai was destroyed. Viki heshlimu yoishe givon es Yisrael vihi bikirbo. Peace was made with the inhabitants of Givon, and they were among them. That's the idea over here. So this is talking about that they heard about what occurred, right? Ki Hishlima Yoishvi Givon as Israel. There was peace that was made, the inhabitants of Givon with the Jews. Vihi Bikirbon, and they were with them. Next pasuk says, Vayiru Ma'od. They feared a lot, a tremendous amount. Ki Ir Gedoylo Givon Ka'achas Iri Hamamlacha. They feared a lot because it was a very big city. Givon. This is with the peace was made with them. Like one of the royal cities. It's a very, very big city over here. And V'chihi gedola min ha'ai v'kol anshe ha'giborim. It was even bigger than I, and all of its men were strong. V'yishlach Adoni Tzedek melech Yerushalayim Eloheha melech Hebron. So Adoni Tzedek, so he sent over here to the king of Yerushalayim, to Hoham, the king of Hebron. Vel Param melech Yarmos, and to Param the king of Yarmos. Vel Yafia melech Lachish, and to Yafia the king of Lachish. Vel Devir melech Eglon Lamor, and to Devir the king of Eglon, saying, Alu Eli, come up with me. Eli literally means to me, but it means with me in this context. Ve'izruni venake as Givon. And help me, and let's hit Givon. Ki heshlima es Yehoshua ve'es bnei Israel. Because it made peace with Yehoshua and to the Jews. So they basically said over here, we need help. V'yasvu v'yalu chamishes malchi amori merlich, Yerushalayim melech Hebron, melech Yarmus, melech Lachish, melech Eglon. Heim v'kol machaneim v'yachnu al givon v'yilchmu alel. So what happened over here is that they gathered the five Amori kings, the king of Yerushalayim, the king of Hebron, the king of Yarmos, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, them and all of their camps, and they camped at Givon, and they waged war against it. V'yishlachu anshi Givon el Yehoshua, and then the people of Givon sent to Yehoshua el Machane to the camp, HaGilgal to Gilgal, Lamor, saying, Al teiref yadecha me'avdecha, don't loosen your hands from your servant. Al leilenu mehira v'hoshia lanu. Come to us quickly and save us. V'azreinu ki nekabsu eleinu kol malchi ha'amori yoshvi ahar. And assist us because we gathered all of the Amori kings that were sitting in the mountain. So they were saying, please help us. Bayal Yehoshua min Gilgal, and Yehoshua, he went from Gilgal, hu v'chol am hamalchama, him and the entire nation of war, Emo with him, v'kol giburi hachayil, and all of the strong warriors. So they heeded their voice. They went to them. Vayomer, Adonai Yehoshua al tira mehem ki biyadecha nasatim lo yamud ish mehem bepanecha. And Hashem told Yehoshua, don't fear from them, because I've given ki biyadecha nasatim, in your hand I've given them over to your hand, and no one could stand in front of you. Let's stop over here with the psukim and let's analyze what's going on over here. Some deeper ideas. First of all, let's talk about a little introduction that the art scroll over here gives on Yehoshua. You know, whenever you have war, you have economic issues, right? If you're having a war, especially if it's on your land, cities, farms are destroyed. The economy of a country is totally damaged. Economy could be built up over many generations of a country, and then within months it's all destroyed. It's all nothing. You have to rebuild it from scratch. That's what happened with Yericho and with Ai. The only problem was the Torah itself says that the Jewish people are going to inherit intact cities, stocked, good houses, good fields, orchards. Look in Devarim, in Vav Yud. So how could this be fulfilled? This is a promise. The defeats of Yericho and Ai made the Canaanite kings realize that they're helpless on their own. And that's basically what we have to realize over here. What basically is going to happen over here, and this is the answer to the question, all of these nations are going to gather together, and the cities, the farms, they're not all going to become battlefields. And then those cities are going to remain intact. That's basically the discussion over there. So, what the Neflos Mitaris Hashem Yisbarach explains, as quoted in the art scroll. This is the first place in all of Tanakh, Torah Nevi'im and Ksuvim, where the word Yerushalayim appears. The beginning of this parak, Vayhi Kishma Adoni Tzedek Melech Yerushalayim. This is the first place where Yerushalayim appears in the entire Tanakh. First pasuk. Why? The Medrash says that Avram called the city Hashem Yireh. It's in Bereshis, Chav Beis Yadalit. He's referring to Yerushalayim. Hashem Yireh means fearing God. Melchizedek called it Shalem. Bereshis Yadalit Yirches. Hashem combined these two names and called it Yerushalayim. That's what the Bereshis Rabbah says in Nunvav. Hashem Yireh refers to fear. You have to have fear of God. And this signifies that we have mitzvahs that are bein adam l'makom, between man and God. Shalom, peace, refers to the mitzvahs that are bein adam l'chavero, between man and his friend and his fellow, interpersonal relationships. In order for Yerushalayim to achieve the essence of its holiness, it has to have a combination of the above. When Jews have Yiras Hashem, fear of God, and fulfill mitzvahs that are bein adam l'makom and bein adam l'chavero, both between man and God and man and people, only then can Yerushalayim be a city of shalom or peace. That's that point. Talk about converts. The people of Givon, they made a conclusion. We're going to make a treaty with Yehoshua. The other nations decided to declare war on Givon once they heard about this. So the people of Givon asked Yehoshua for help, as we learned. Their ally, help us. And Yehoshua was unsure if it was fair to ask the Jews to fight for someone who achieved an alliance and a peace treaty through trickery, as we learned in depth in the previous parak. Regarding this, Hashem told Yehoshua, it's proper to help an ally since a pact was made and concluded. And, if you're not going to fulfill your obligation to those who try to be close with you, the Jews, then other converts are going to worry about their own security. We see from this how careful we have to be with converts. Someone who is extra careful with this is Yehoshua himself. He came from the tribe of Ephraim, who is the son of Yosef and Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, who, according to some commentaries, was actually a convert herself. Furthermore, David HaMelech was a descendant of the famous convert Rus, the princess of Moab. That's what the Musar Navim explains. The gematria of Rus is 620. 613 mitzvahs we have, plus 7 which are rabbinic. Added together, 620. She accepted the mitzvahs upon herself. Medrash teaches us that God regards the Ger Tzedek, a sincere convert, as equal to a regular Jew, even a Levi. Look in Dvarim, Yud Aleph Chav Tes. Levi and Ger are actually grouped together. Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem, is a Ger really to be regarded in the same category as a Levi? Hashem answered Moshe. And so Moshe asked Hashem. Hashem said, how much did I toil for the Jews? Well, let's see. Hashem says, I took them out of Egypt, lit their path through the wilderness, through the desert, gave them the man, miraculous food which tasted with whatever you wanted to taste with, provided a well for them, etc., etc. Clouds of glory and on covered, protected them. Then they accepted the Torah. In contrast, the Ger, the convert, came to me from his free will. He accepted the commandments, the Torah, without having benefited from any miracles at all. Shouldn't he be at least equivalent to even a Levi? The Ramban discusses the special concern that we have for a Ger, a convert. You'll say, wait, we could just take advantage of the convert. He doesn't have a relative, after all, who could defend him. The Torah says that no, we were also strangers, foreigners in Egypt. And that's what the Egyptians did. They oppressed our ancestors because they thought no one's going to help us. But Hashem himself heard the cries of the oppressed and came to aid us and severely punished the Egyptians for their wickedness. It's forbidden to remind the convert about his past. If you're angry at a convert, you're not allowed to say, "Oh, just a while ago you were worshiping idols and you ate pork." Don't speak to me like that. You can't do that. There's a pasuk in Bamidbar in Hey Vav that cautions us not to commit the transgression of going against Hashem. And Seforno explains this refers to the prohibition of causing harm or pain to a convert. Any crime committed against a convert, for example, robbing him, is considered as if you're robbing from God Himself. The convert came to seek shelter under the wings of Judaism. Causing him to suffer is a grave and terrible desecration of the holy name of God. An individual who does so is therefore guilty of having trespassed against Hashem. We have to love converts, as it says in Devarim Yud. Truth of the matter is, this discussion about converts is a massive discussion of itself, but you have to be very, very careful about this. This is the idea. Why specifically over here does Hashem need to warn the Jews? Oh, don't fear, don't worry. If we go to Pasuk Ches over here, it says, "Vayasvu vayalu chameshes malchi amori," etc. Excuse me, that's the wrong Pasuk. Ches. Hashem tells Yeshua, "Al tira mihem." Don't fear them. Don't worry about it. I gave them over to you. Why specifically over here does Hashem need to warn, oh, don't fear them, don't worry about them? Why specifically here as opposed to in other places? Let's just strengthen this question over here. What about the battle of Ai? Hashem didn't need to warn them, oh, don't fear. Why specifically over here? Before Yericho, it didn't happen either. Right? Why would there be any fear at all? Hashem, in fact, promised that the Jews would be successful in their conquest of the land of Israel. So the answer to all of these questions is an explicit Gemara in Brachos Daf Daled. Actually, according to Rabban.com, of the entire Masechta of Brachos. Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi says that Yaakov had fear, but Hashem assured him, don't worry, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to protect you wherever you go, Hashem says. Kaf Ches Tezvav and Bereshis. Later on, it says that Yaakov feared Esav a lot. In Bereshis and Lamed Beis Ches, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi explains, Sheme Yigraim Chet. He was afraid that he was going to sin. Because the Hashem's promises to the righteous are not unconditional. You have to remain worthy of Hashem's assistance. Otherwise, the promise could be totally destroyed, annulled. Therefore, after Yaakov lived with Lavan for so many years, he worried that maybe he sinned, and that sin would invalidate the divine promise. After the Jews lost against Ai, Yehoshua had reason to believe that a sin was committed, and that would cause Hashem's promise of divine assistance in the conquest of the land not to be there at all. That concern did not exist before the conquest of Ai, however. Therefore, Yehoshua was unsure whether they would merit the divine assistance in that battle against the people of the Amoris, because they were fighting not for themselves, but a defense of the Givonim. And Yehoshua realized that he should not have accepted them as converts without divine approval. He therefore feared that his sin might cause Hashem's divine support to withdraw. Consequently, Hashem reassured him, saying, don't worry, I'm with you. So thus, Yehoshua learned from Yaakov the importance of self-examination during a difficult time of crisis. So that's basically a few different ideas on this parak. To start it off, next time we'll continue with the sun's stopping.